He stood on the edge of a cold mountain. He stared through a long brass telescope. He was looking at a busy city far below. But he wasn't looking at his massive criminal empire. He was looking at his little girl. She was standing by a window miles away. He could see her face perfectly, but he could not hold her hand. He could not hear her laugh. He was the most powerful man in the entire world. He had more money than anyone could ever count. Yet he was locked inside a cage he built for himself. How did a man with billions of dollars end up trapped on a lonely mountain? And why was his only connection to the people he loved a simple piece of glass? But this didn't start here. The rise of the king. To understand the telescope, you have to understand the man behind it. His name was Pablo. In the 1980s, he ruled the streets of Colombia. He had unlimited money. He had absolute power. People feared him. Politicians listened to him. If they didn't listen, terrible things happened to them. He built a massive empire on illegal drugs. The money flowed into his pockets like a fast river. He bought airplanes. He bought private islands. He bought small armies of loyal men. He thought he was untouchable. He truly believed he was a king. But that was only the beginning. Kings always have enemies, and Pablo had the biggest enemies in the world. The Colombian government wanted him stopped. The United States government wanted him stopped. They wanted to capture him. They wanted to send him to a dark, lonely American prison. This was his biggest fear. He used to say he would rather die in his home country than sit in a dark jail cell far away. The pressure grew heavier every single day. The police were hunting him. They raided his homes. They chased his men. He was tired of running. His family was constantly in danger. They could never sleep peacefully. He knew this could destroy everything he worked for. He needed a way out. He needed a master plan. So he made a choice so bold no one could believe it was real. Before we go deeper, make sure you're subscribed. We post stories like this every single day. The deal of the century. Pablo went to the government. He offered them a completely crazy deal. He said he would surrender. He would stop the heavy violence in the streets. He would peacefully go to prison. But there was a catch. He would not go to a normal, dirty prison. He would build his own prison. He would choose the perfect location. He would draw the plans. He would choose the guards who watched the doors. And most importantly, the real police were not allowed anywhere near the property. The government was desperate for peace. The entire country was completely tired of fear. They wanted the fighting to stop. So they agreed to his wild demands. What happened next shocked everyone. In 1991, Pablo surrendered. He walked into his new home. It was called La Catedral, the cathedral. It sat high on a steep green mountain. It looked down over his home city of Medellin. But this was not a place of punishment. There were no heavy metal bars on the doors. There was no terrible prison food. There were no mean guards yelling orders. It was a giant mansion. It was a massive symbol of his dark ego. La Catedral had a full football field. It had a giant natural waterfall. It had a fully stocked bar, a massive gym, and a hot tub. His personal bedroom had a huge circular bed. Trucks drove up the dark mountain road every single day. They brought extremely expensive whiskey. They brought fresh lobster and steak. They brought anything he wanted. He threw wild, loud parties. He invited famous athletes to play soccer with him on the grass. He brought in top chefs to cook his dinner. His guards were actually his own loyal hitmen. They wore uniforms, but they worked for him. He even kept running his illegal empire from inside the heavy walls. He had secure phones. He had two-way radios. He gave orders every day. He was still the ultimate boss. He felt completely powerful. He felt totally safe. But he had no idea what was coming. The man behind the glass. Despite all the rich luxury, La Catedral had a very dark side. Pablo was safe from the police, but he was completely isolated. The mountain was extremely cold at night. It was often covered in thick, wet, white fog. His family lived far down in the warm city. His loyal wife, his teenage son, and his young daughter, Manuela. He loved his little girl more than anything in the entire world. She was his biggest weakness. She was his absolute heart. He could not leave the prison to see her. If he walked past the property line, the peace deal was instantly broken. The police would arrest him for real. He would lose his luxury. He would lose his freedom. He would be sent to the United States. She felt so incredibly far away. For the first time in his life, he felt truly trapped. All his dirty money could not bring her up the mountain. All his scary power could not force the government to let him go home.
She felt trapped, too. She missed her father. So he found a smart way to bridge the gap. He bought a powerful, very expensive telescope. He placed it carefully near the edge of the property, and he pointed it directly down at the bright city lights. Every single day, at a very specific time, his daughter would stand by a large window in their luxury apartment. Pablo would step up to the telescope. He would carefully look through the glass. He would watch her play with her toys. He would hold a heavy phone to his ear. He would talk to her sweet voice while he watched her from miles away. It was a secret, quiet ritual, a rare moment of pure human emotion. The outside world knew him as a ruthless boss, but for a few minutes a day, he was just a regular father, a father missing his little girl, a father staring through a piece of cold glass, wishing he could go home and give her a hug. But there was no way back now. Greed and blood. Ego and greed are incredibly dangerous things. Pablo had everything he asked for. He had a strong peace treaty. He had his life. He had a luxury mansion on a quiet mountain. But it simply wasn't enough. He wanted more money. While he was locked up, his business partners down in the city were making millions of dollars. Two of his top men came to visit him at La Catedral. They brought him heavy bags of cash. It was his normal share of the business. But Pablo was extremely paranoid. He sat in his luxury room and started thinking too much. He believed they were hiding extra money from him. He thought they were secretly stealing from the giant empire he built with his own blood. He felt betrayed. His huge pride was deeply hurt. He could not let anyone disrespect him, not even his own close friends. And that's when everything changed. He demanded answers. A terrible argument started inside the prison. The tension in the room was completely suffocating. The men looked him in the eye and denied stealing anything. But Pablo's dark mind was totally made up. He did not believe them. He ordered his fake guards to handle it. Inside the walls of his safe luxury prison, he had his own partners tied up. He had them heavily tortured. He wanted them to confess. Then he had them killed. Their bodies were burned in a fire and buried secretly on the cold mountain. He thought he could easily get away with it. He thought his thick prison walls hid his awful crimes. He thought he was a god who made his own rules. What happened next shocked everyone.
The fog and the run. The dark secret did not stay buried for long. The angry families of the dead men started asking loud questions. The scary rumors slowly reached the city streets. Soon, the Colombian government found out the horrible truth. The public was absolutely furious. The peace deal was a giant joke. Pablo was using the government prison as a personal murder house. The president of Colombia was highly embarrassed. He decided he finally had enough. The deal was officially broken forever. The military was quickly sent up the mountain road. They were ordered to take Pablo out of La Catedral. They were going to move him to a real prison, a dark, cold, unforgiving prison with real metal bars. Pablo saw the heavy trucks coming. He knew the quiet end was near. He knew this mistake could destroy everything. The brave soldiers tightly surrounded La Catedral. The nervous tension was at its absolute peak. Guns were pointed, orders were shouted, but Pablo was not going to give up easily. He knew a secret way out. He had built a hidden escape route into the back fence when he designed the prison years ago. In the middle of the dark night, heavily covered by thick mountain fog, he quietly slipped out. He kicked out a loose brick wall. He vanished into the dark, wet woods without making a sound. He was free again, but this time he was running for his life. But that was only the beginning. The final mistake. The loud hunt was back on, but this time it was very different. Pablo was no longer a powerful king. He was a scared, cornered animal. He spent the next 16 months completely hiding. He stayed in small, dirty houses. He moved nervously from place to place in the dark. His endless money was finally running out. His loyal friends were either dead or locked in jail. His powerful enemies were closing in tighter every single day. His family was terrified. They were stuck hiding in a tall hotel under heavy police guard. They could not leave the country safely. Pablo was incredibly desperate. He missed his family. The powerful man who used to watch his daughter through a shiny telescope now could not even step outside into the sunlight. He was tightly trapped in small rooms, sweating, waiting for the painful end. The pressure was totally unbearable. Then he made a fatal mistake. In December of 1993, he hid in a plain, simple house in a normal middle-class neighborhood. He deeply missed his teenage son. He wanted to hear his normal voice. He felt completely alone in the world. He slowly picked up the heavy phone. He called the hotel where his family was staying. He knew the police were secretly listening to the lines. He knew he should only talk for a few quick seconds, but his raw emotions completely took over. He stayed on the line entirely too long. The police quickly traced the radio signal. They finally found the right house. The military completely surrounded the brick building. They violently kicked down the heavy front door.
Pablo scrambled to escape. He climbed fast out the back window. He ran heavily across the orange clay tiles of the roof. Loud gunshots echoed through the quiet neighborhood. The intense shooting was loud and very fast. Pablo fell hard. He was heavily shot. He died right there on the dirty clay roof, without his money, without his immense power, without his loving family by his side. The price of ego. The massive empire was completely gone forever. The billions of dirty dollars could not save his life. The large private armies could not protect his body. His sad family was left to carefully pick up the broken pieces. They eventually fled the dangerous country. They permanently changed their names. They tried hard to erase the dark history that haunted them every night. His innocent daughter, the sweet little girl he watched from the cold mountain, grew up living quietly in the giant shadow of his terrible choices. The massive luxury prison La Catedral quickly fell into complete ruin.
It was heavily looted by greedy people looking for hidden money in the walls. Today, it sits quietly and broken on the mountain. The wild soccer games are gone. The loud parties are gone. The awful violence is gone. Only the cold, wet fog remains. He built a giant fortress to protect himself from the scary world, but his own heavy ego tore it down completely. He thought he could easily control absolutely everything, but his greedy choices destroyed his own life and completely ruined the quiet lives of the people he loved most in the world. In the end, power always comes with a price. If you liked this video, make sure you subscribe and follow the channel. We upload new videos every single day. And trust me, the next story is even more intense, more surprising, and something you definitely don't want to miss. I'll see you in the next one.